Everything that ever felt like pushing against an invisible wall, it felt that way because you were working at the wrong level. You were rearranging the furniture while the foundation was still built from scarcity. You were painting the walls while the frame of the house was still constructed from lack. Today we go beneath the surface. We go to the matrix. Today we shift the hidden matrix of your prosperity. Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. Today's activation is shifting the hidden matrix of your prosperity. Before we begin, I want to invite you to join my Reality Revolution community if you want to take your journey further so that you can develop tangible manifestation strategies to become prosperous and create the reality of your dreams. That's what we talk about on a regular basis. It's an active, week-by-week, mastermind, educational, advanced program on reality creation. And you can join it in the link in the description below, or you can go to www.skool.com/reality revolution. Now, there's something running underneath your financial life right now that you've never seen directly, that has operated in the background silently, consistently, with extraordinary precision, determining the ceiling of your income, scripting the emotional texture of every money conversation you ever had, shaping the invisible boundary between what you believe is possible for you financially and what you believe is reserved for other people. It is invisible to the ordinary eye, it is inaudible to the ordinary ear, but it is there. And today, in this moment, in this transmission, you're going to see it clearly for the first time. You're going to understand how it was built, feel its structure from the inside, and then with the full force of your awakened consciousness, you're going to dissolve it at the root and rebuild it from the ground up around the frequency of genuine, sustainable, overflowing prosperity. This is the most important work you will ever do around money, because everything you've tried on the surface, the income goals, the affirmations, the hustle strategies, the abundance meditations, everything that ever felt like pushing against an invisible wall, it felt that way because you were working at the wrong level. You were rearranging the furniture while the foundation was still built from scarcity. You were painting the walls while the frame of the house was still constructed from lack. Today we go beneath the surface. We go to the matrix. Today we shift the hidden matrix of your prosperity. The psychiatrist Stanislav Grof spent decades doing something that was considered scientifically impossible. He mapped the regions of human consciousness that exist beyond the personal, beyond the biographical, beyond the individual nervous system. In thousands of documented sessions with ordinary human beings in non-ordinary states of consciousness, he witnessed extraordinary things. People accessing the consciousness of their ancestors, other species, cosmic fields of intelligence that conventional science insisted could not exist. But buried inside this remarkable body of work, alongside the transpersonal, the cosmic, the awe-inspiring, was something quietly revolutionary for anyone who wants to understand why their financial reality keeps repeating the same patterns regardless of how much they consciously want something different. It's called the COEX system. Systems of condensed experience. Once you understand what a COEX system is, once you feel it in your body, trace it through your history, recognize its fingerprints on the specific shape of your prosperity ceiling, you will never look at your financial life the same way again, because you will finally see the matrix. And seeing the matrix is the beginning of being free from it. You see, this changed everything for me. The book I recommend is When the Impossible Happens by Stanislav Grof. Here's what Grof discovered. The human psyche does organize memories the way a filing cabinet organizes documents, neatly, sequentially by date and category. The psychic organizes experience by emotional resonance, by feeling tone, by the quality of sensation and meaning that runs like a thread through dozens, sometimes hundreds, of entirely separate experiences linking them invisibly across the full span of a lifetime. When you were a child and absorbed the first message about money, that it was scarce, that it caused conflict, that wanting it was shameful or dangerous, that it went to other kinds of people but never quite stayed with your kind. That experience reached forward and backward in time. It pulled toward itself every other experience that carried the same emotional signature. The birthday when there was not enough. The overheard adult conversation tightened with financial stress. The moment you wanted something and felt the weight of its unavailability. The first time you earned money and felt the fear underneath the having. The fear that it would leave, that it was not really yours to keep, that prosperity was a visitor rather than a resident. These experiences, separated by years and entirely different circumstances, fused together inside your psyche into a single living structure. A constellation of condensed experience around the frequency of lack. A coax system, a prosperity matrix built from scarcity. Here's the mechanism that changes everything. This coax system, this fused emotional constellation, operates as your perceptual filter for financial reality. It is the lens through which your nervous system reads every opportunity, every risk, every money decision, every moment of potential expression and expansion. It determines which financial possibilities you register as real and which ones your brain quietly discards before they ever reach conscious awareness. It shapes the emotional tone you bring to every negotiation, every investment decision, every conversation about your worth and your price. The matrix is the manifesting mechanism. Your prosperity coax system has been building your financial reality with perfect precision, faithfully and without judgment for your entire life. And the extraordinary news, the news that should be sending electricity through your entire being right now, is that the matrix can be changed, not managed or suppressed, not temporarily overridden by willpower and positive thinking, changed at the root, at the level of the source code itself. Let us go deeper into this. Let us understand with both precision and compassion exactly how your specific prosperity matrix was constructed, because you need to see the mechanism clearly before you can consciously work with it. Clarity is the beginning of creative power. You arrived in this world as pure, undifferentiated consciousness. Before any concept of money existed in your awareness, before the social narratives of wealth and poverty, deserving and undeserving, the haves and have-nots, had been installed, there was simply experience, raw, immediate, fully felt, with no filter and no frame. And the rawness, that total immediacy of early experience, is the key to understanding everything. Because the infant nervous system, flooded with experience it cannot yet categorize or contextualize, stores experience holistically. It stores the sensory input, the emotional charge, the bodily felt sense, and the nascent meaning, making all fuse together in a single package. There is no separation between what happened, how it felt, what the body did in response, and what it meant about the world and about the self. All of it is one unified imprint. These early unified imprints become the seeds of your prosperity matrix. And then life, with the reliable thoroughness that life always brings, provided more experiences. Your nervous system, operating on the principle of emotional resonance, began clustering. Every new experience that carried a feeling tone similar to those early seeds got pulled into the growing system, reinforcing it, thickening it, building it into a more elaborate, more powerful, more self-confirming structure. The child who heard money spoken about in hushed, stressed, or angry tones developed a nervous system that associated financial energy with emotional danger. The teenager who watched a parent struggle, who internalized the belief that hard work led only to more struggle, added layer after layer of confirming experience to the scarcity matrix. The young adult who had money and lost it, who got close to a breakthrough and watched it collapse, who compared their financial reality to others and felt the sting of inadequacy. Every one of those experiences became another stone in the structure. By adulthood, the prosperity matrix was architecturally sophisticated. It had roots in the earliest years. It had gathered a lifetime of confirming evidence. It had become so deeply embedded in the nervous system that the brain had learned to perceive financial reality through it rather than at it. The matrix became transparent, invisible precisely because it was everywhere. Precisely because it was the water in which your financial consciousness perpetually swam. This is what Groff meant when he talked about coex systems governing ordinary consciousness. He was saying most of what you call your financial reality is actually the projection of your condensed emotional history onto a screen that you then mistake for an objective world. Understand what this tells us. It's all an illusion based upon those emotional experiences. The opportunities you miss are real opportunities. Your nervous system filtered them out because they were incompatible with the matrix's model of what is available to you. The money that comes in and immediately flows out is real money. The matrix has a set point, a homeostatic level of financial reality it has been calibrated to maintain, and it will make adjustments in both directions to keep you there. The self-sabotage that strikes at the last moment before a breakthrough is real self-sabotage. It is the matrix protecting the only identity it has ever known. This is profound, radical, completely consistent to everything Neville Goddard ever taught about the relationship between consciousness and financial reality. Neville said, the outer world is a mirror of the inner assumption. He said you can achieve nothing in the world of form that you have already rejected in the world of consciousness. He said prosperity is a state of consciousness before it is ever a state of bank accounts. What Groff's clinical research adds to Neville's mystical teaching is the specific psychological mechanism through which that inner assumption operates in the material world. The coex system is the assumption made structurally real inside the psyche. It is the prosperity belief with a history, with a body, with roots in every emotionally significant financial experience of your life. To change your prosperity at the level Neville is pointing to, at the level of genuine, lasting, fundamental change, you must change the prosperity matrix. Here is the inquiry that will begin your direct engagement with your specific prosperity matrix. This is experiential. This is participatory. Listen to this slowly. Give it space. Let it land in your body, your history, and the lived texture of your financial life. Think about a financial pattern that keeps repeating. A ceiling you keep hitting. A level of income that you approach and then retreat from consistently. A pattern of money coming in and leaving just as quickly, leaving you perpetually at the same place regardless of how much effort you apply. A pattern of opportunities that seem promising and then dissolve. A pattern of being chronically undervalued, undercharging, underestimating your own worth in every financial exchange. Choose the pattern that carries the most emotional charge, the one you've wanted most desperately to break, the one that, if you allow complete honesty, carries a quiet undertone of resignation, a voice somewhere underneath the conscious striving that says, this is simply how it is for me. Other people break through. I keep circling the same territory. Even if my income goes up, it goes right back down again. Or I acquire larger debts for no reason. This is the emotional signature of your prosperity matrix. Now here's what Stanislav Grof teaches. Trace the feeling backward in time. This emotional signature, this specific felt sense quality underneath the financial pattern. When did you first feel this? Go back, further back than you usually allow yourself to go, past the adult financial experiences, past the first job, the first rent payment, the first financial crisis, into the teenage years, into childhood, into very early childhood. Let the body lead because the body holds the original imprint. The body remembers what the mind has organized into tidy narrative. What you will find if you follow this thread with genuine patience and complete honesty is a root experience. an original moment. The first time this specific emotional frequency was registered by your nervous system as significant, as dangerous, as defining, as worth building a whole perceptual system around. This is the seed of your prosperity matrix. Now, trace it forward through your life. Notice how many of your financial experiences, however different, that surface circumstances, however varied, their apparent causes, carry the same emotional signature underneath. Notice the through line. Notice the pattern that your nervous system has been faithfully recreating across decades and contexts. You are seeing the matrix. You're seeing the invisible filter through which every financial opportunity in your life has been processed. And something profound shifts in the seeing itself. Because the moment a coex system becomes visible, truly bodily visible, felt in the bones rather than understood in the mind, its power to operate unconsciously begins to diminish. You cannot be governed at the same depth by what you can now clearly see. Clarity is the beginning of liberation. The prosperity matrix is now visible. The liberation is beginning. So now we do the work. I want you to understand something about what this work actually requires, because there is a near universal misunderstanding in consciousness and manifestation communities about how genuine change in financial reality happens. People believe that changing their prosperity requires jumping away from the feeling of lack, bypassing it, transcending it, vibrating above it, affirming it out of existence. Groff's research shows something more elegant, something more powerful, that once you understand it will fundamentally change your relationship with every uncomfortable financial feeling you will ever experience. The prosperity coex system dissolves through completion, through full conscious contact, through being met rather than fled. The emotional charge that holds the matrix together, the condensed energy of a lifetime of scarcity experiences, is energy, raw, undifferentiated life energy that your nervous system tagged as dangerous and locked away rather than completing its natural arc. An energy that has been resisted and suppressed or bypassed does something very specific and very predictable. It persists. It intensifies, it runs harder in the background precisely because it has learned that the conscious mind will refuse to acknowledge it directly, which means it must find other ways to express itself. It expresses through compulsive spending that feels temporarily like abundance but leaves a residue of shame. Through the mysterious inability to raise your prices even when you know intellectually that you should. Through the self-sabotage that strikes precisely when a significant financial breakthrough is closest. Through the strange inability to receive, to let money, generosity, abundance actually land and stay. These are all the prosperity matrix asserting itself through the only pathways available to energy that has been denied direct expression. But energy that is met fully and consciously with the spaciousness and courage of an awakened adult, that energy completes its arc, moves, transforms, and releases the grip it has maintained for years or decades. This is the first phase of the disillusion, full contact. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to bring up the emotional signature of your prosperity matrix, the root feeling, the original frequency of scarcity or unworthiness or financial danger, and you're going to feel it deliberately, consciously, as an act of sovereign power, not surrender, as a creator choosing to meet the thing that has been running in the background, flooding it with the light of undivided attention. For instance, for me, I would bring up a pattern whenever I would start to make money. I would suddenly have huge expenses. It would be my car breaking down, or I would have to move, or it would be something significant that would happen. So bring it up. Let it be as large as it wants to be. Figure out what that is for you. Feel the scarcity, the contraction around money, the ancient belief that prosperity belongs to someone else, that you are fundamentally not the kind of person who gets to have it abundantly and permanently, that you're lucky if you get it, and that's it. Feel the specific quality of lack that has been the undertone of your financial life. Feel If it is there, the shame that is attached itself to financial struggle, the voice that says the situation says something damning about who you are. Feel all of it. Let your nervous system do what it has spent your entire life trying to prevent it from doing. Let it complete the arc of original experience. Let the feeling be as big as it needs to be, held inside the spaciousness of your conscious awareness. You are larger than this feeling. You've always been larger than this feeling. Your consciousness is the container, and it is vast enough to hold this and remain steady. Now, I always love to refer to Robert Scheinfeld in his amazing book, Bustin' Loose from the Money Game, and the technique that he describes is, first, you acknowledge your power. You say, I am the infinite presence and power of God. Then you acknowledge that it's all an illusion. You show appreciation for this. And then you take your power back, because this pattern is taking your power away. It's like you're going on an Easter egg hunt, is what Scheinfeld refers it to. You're looking for these particular things that come up. When you find them, you declare, I am the presence and power of God. It's all an illusion anyway, it's not real. I appreciate what it has offered me. And I take my power back and feel the power flooding back into me. Just say that. Let your nervous system do what it has spent your entire life trying to prevent it from doing. Let it complete the arc of the original experience. Let the feeling be as big as it needs to be, held inside the spaciousness of your conscious awareness. You are larger than this feeling. You've always been larger than this. Your consciousness is the container, and it is vast enough to hold this and remain steady. As you hold it, as you meet it with the full, compassionate, unblinking attention of your awakened consciousness, speak to it. Inwardly or aloud, let these words arise from genuinely felt truth. I see you. I've always sensed you, even when I was pretending otherwise. You were built by a nervous system trying to protect something precious. You were the best possible response to the environment that created you. Every financial limitation you generated was the faithful expression of your programming. And that programming made complete sense in the context it arose from. I am complete with you now. I release you with full respect for what you are trying to do. Feel what becomes available in that completion. Feel what opens in the space where the old charge once lived. There is actual physiological spaciousness in the release of a held emotional pattern. The body registers completion the same way it registers the ending of sustained physical tension. There is real relief, real expansion, real breath. This is the prosperity matrix beginning to dissolve. It's the old scarcity template softening at the root, preparing to receive new programming, preparing to be replaced by a coax system built from an entirely different frequency. Now we build. This is the moment that Neville Goddard was pointing to with every single teaching he ever gave about money, about manifestation, about the relationship between inner assumption and outer experience. The moment of conscious reconstruction, the moment where you stop being the unconscious product of your condensed financial history and become the deliberate architect of a new one. You're going to build a new prosperity coax system. You're going to do precisely what your nervous system did in childhood, cluster emotionally resonant experiences around a central frequency. Except this time, you're doing it consciously, deliberately, with the full creative authority of an adult who understands the mechanism and is choosing the outcomes. The central frequency you are building around is genuine, sustainable, overflowing prosperity. Feel that frequency now. Feel it as a quality of experience, as an emotional tone in your body, as a lived felt sense rather than a mental concept. Prosperity is a specific feeling, the feeling of enough and more. It is the quality of ease around money. The ease of having it, of receiving it, of sharing it, of investing it, of allowing it to move through you like a current through a conductor. It is the bodily felt sense of financial safety that goes so deep it becomes invisible, the way the ground beneath your feet is so reliable you never think about it. Feel that frequency. Let your body know the destination. Let the nervous system register the emotional tone of the new matrix before we begin to build its structure. Good. Now we stack. Somewhere in your life, perhaps briefly, perhaps in a moment so small you almost overlooked its significance, you have felt this frequency. You felt the ease of abundance, even momentarily on a small scale. A moment when money arrived unexpectedly and felt like a genuine gift. A time when you were genuinely paid for something and felt the rightness of it. Feeling of your value being accurately recognized in financial form. A period when things were flowing and opportunities seemed to multiply. When a moment as simple as finding money in an old coat pocket and feeling the small, bright lift of unexpected abundance. Find that memory. Every human being has experienced the frequency of prosperity, however briefly, however quietly. It exists in your history. Step into it fully. Use all the sensory richness available to you. Where were you? What was the quality of the moment? The specific texture of the feeling where abundance was present and real. What did your body do? What happened in your chest, your hands, your breath? What was the emotional quality? The ease, the relief, the sense of life cooperating with you. Breathe it in. Amplify it deliberately. Let it become the most present, powerful, vivid, emotionally alive experience in your awareness right now. This is the first stone of the new prosperity matrix. Now we enter the territory that is both beyond conventional psychology and precisely aligned with quantum nature of consciousness that Groff's research continually pointed toward. The nervous system does distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and an actually lived one, when both are held with sufficient emotional intensity. This is established in modern neuroscience. The brain regions that activate during vivid mental imagery and lived experience overlap so significantly that the nervous system registered both as real. This is the neurological foundation of every genuine visualization practice. The mechanism behind Neville's instruction to live in the end, to inhabit the feeling of the wish fulfilled until it becomes the dominant reality of your inner life. Vividly imagined experience held with a genuine emotional commitment becomes neurologically real. And neurologically real means matrix real. It means it becomes material for the coax system being built. So now you're going to remember something that is yet to happen in the external timeline, but is in the quantum field that Groff and Bohm both point toward, already real at the level of potential. See yourself in a life of genuine prosperity. Give it full sensory richness. Where are you? What does your body feel like? From the inside, the ease, the groundedness, the quality of someone whose financial foundation is solid and reliable and more than enough. What has become completely ordinary that once felt like an impossible dream? What do you take for granted in this reality? The quality where you live, the ease with which you give, the freedom with which you make choices. What your current self would find extraordinary. What does money feel like in this reality? Feel the ease of having it, the naturalness of receiving it, the pleasure of sharing it generously, the security of knowing that more is always on its way, that the flow is reliable, that prosperity is the nature of your life rather than the exception. Let this future memory be as vivid, present, emotionally real as the memory of yesterday, because in the architecture of consciousness it is a memory, the memory of a version of you that already lives in this prosperity, reaching back through the quantum field to show you what is true. Feel it completely. Let your body believe it. This is the second stone. The third stone is the prosperity identity. The coax system is anchored at the deepest level, the level of identity, of self-concept, of the pre-verbal cellular nervous system deep sense of who you are and what you are capable of. This is the level that intellectual affirmations almost always fail to reach. They operate at the conscious surface while the coax system runs far beneath, in the bedrock of being. You can repeat "I am wealthy" 1,000 times, and the prosperity matrix will run completely unchanged underneath those words, quietly filtering them out as incompatible with the deeper truth it holds about you. The identity shift has to happen at the level of the body, at the level of felt experience, at the level of genuine embodiment rather than verbal declaration. So feel into the person who lives in the prosperity you chose, the person for whom financial abundance is simply the nature of things, not a lucky circumstance or a temporary exception, but the reliable, unremarkable, taken for granted nature of daily life. That person carries a specific identity, a specific quality of being in the world. Feel that identity from the inside. Feel the quality of how they carry their body, the ease, the groundedness, the absence of chronic, low-level financial anxiety that contracts so many people's lives. Feel how they enter a room, the presence of someone who knows their value with total certainty and needs no external confirmation of it. Feel how they relate to money, not desperately or fearfully, not with the tight-gripped anxiety of someone who never has quite enough, but with the ease of someone in a healthy, trusting, generative relationship with the energy of prosperity. Feel the specific quality of their inner monologue around money, the naturalness of expecting good financial outcomes, the ease with which they receive, the genuine pleasure they take in financial abundance without guilt or apology. Now speak from that identity. Let the words arise from the embodied felt sense rather than the thinking mind. Prosperity is my natural state. It always has been. Money flows to me easily and stays with me gracefully. I am the kind of person for whom financial abundance is simply how life works. I receive generously, I give generously, and the flow between them is effortless. My value is real. My worth is undeniable, and the world reflects that back to me in every financial exchange. Let those statements land below the level of conscious thought. Let them register in the nervous system as bodily truth. I'm going to say it again. Say it with me, out loud. Prosperity is my natural state. It always has been. Money flows to me easily and stays with me gracefully. I am the kind of person for whom financial abundance is simply how life works. I receive generously, I give generously, and the flow between them is effortless. My value is real, my worth is undeniable, and the world reflects that back to me in every financial exchange. Let those statements land below the level of conscious thought. Let them register in the nervous system as bodily truth. This is the third stone. The fourth stone is counterforce and its completion. Before we place the final stone, there's something vital to address. Something so predictable in its appearance during genuine transformation work that Groff documented it as a consistent feature of every significant consciousness shift he ever witnessed. As the new prosperity matrix begins to take root, as the fresh coax system gathers its first stones of abundance and begins to challenge the dominance of the old scarcity structure, the old matrix will assert itself. This is biological, neurological. The brain is wired for prediction, for consistency, for the familiar over the unknown. Even when the familiar has been painful, even when the familiar has been the source of the very limitations you've been working your whole life to transcend. You will feel this counterforce as a financial doubt, as the sudden, louder voice that presents a case for why this specific situation is different, why the usual limitations apply, why the prosperity matrix shift is working for other people but probably will not work for you, as the arrival of a financial pressure at precisely the moment when you feel most expanded, a bill, a setback, a number that seems to confirm the old story with impeccable timing. Groff called this the return of suppressed material, the final push of the old system before its dissolution completes. the emotional content that the new consciousness has disturbed, rushing to the surface for completion. Here's what you must carry with you when this happens, because misunderstanding this moment is the single most common reason people abandon transformational practices at precisely the moment they are most powerfully working. The counterforce is a sign of progress. The financial pressure, the doubt, the seemingly confirming evidence for the old scarcity story. These are the old matrix's final assertions of dominance before the new one takes hold. The system is destabilizing. The old coex is losing its grip, and losing structure always intensifies before it releases. When the counterforce appears, and it will, you meet it with this understanding. This is the old prosperity matrix completing its dissolution. The pressure I feel is the proof of how deeply the new frequency is taking root. I am at the threshold of a genuine shift, and this discomfort is the last expression of the old template completing its arc. You breathe. You return to the 3 stones you have already placed. You feel the new matrix alive in your body, the real memory, the future memory, the prosperity identity, and you hold that frequency alongside the counterforce, larger than it, more real than it. You choose consciously and deliberately which signal to amplify with your attention. What you feed grows. What you withdraw attention from dissolves. The counterforce completes its arc and releases, and the new prosperity matrix settles deeper into the foundation of your being. The 5th stone is the sensory anchor. The new prosperity coex system needs a physical home in the body, a sensory signature that your nervous system can use to access and amplify the new prosperity frequency in any moment, in any circumstance, regardless of what the external financial reality is presenting. Feel the combined charge of all 4 previous stones right now. The real memory of abundance, the future memory of prosperity, the embodied prosperity identity, the integration of the counterforce into the completion of the old matrix. Let all of it be present simultaneously. Let it build to its fullest intensity. The warmth, the expressiveness, the expansiveness, the ease, the groundedness, the genuine felt sense of prosperity as your natural state. Now find where this lives most powerfully in your body. For many people, it's in the chest. A warmth and openness radiating from the heart center, sense of the heart expanded rather than contracted, generous rather than guarded. For others, it's in the solar plexus, a quality of power and creative force and unshakable knowing. For others, it's a full body radiance, a quality of aliveness that extends beyond the physical boundary of the skin and into the field. Find your location, place your hand right there. If it feels right, breathe into it deliberately. Amplify the feeling, make it brighter, more expansive and vivid, and as you do, know that you are encoding this sensation as the physical address of your new prosperity matrix. By returning to this location, breathing it alive, and allowing the full frequency of the new coex system to radiate through your body and into your field. This sensory anchor is your daily access point, how you maintain the new matrix under pressure. This is the 5th stone. Now let us talk about what happens in the days and weeks that follow this. Stanislav Graf's research showed something fascinating about the period following significant contact with the release of coex systems. The external world begins to reorganize. Synchronicities emerge that seem to confirm the new frequency. Opportunities that would have been filtered out by the old perceptual lens become visible. They were always there, but the prosperity matrix now allows them to register as real and available. Relationships shift. People who carry abundance naturally begin to appear more prominently in your field. People who carry scarcity narratives may feel less resonant, may drift. This is the external world catching up with the internal shift. Here's what you need to understand about the timing and texture of this reorganization so that you meet it with the right consciousness. The internal shift, the shift in the matrix itself, happens in the moment of genuine contact and release. This is real, immediate, and complete. But the external financial reality, which is a projection of the dominant emotional template, takes time to reorganize. The speed of this reorganization is proportional to two things: the depth of the dissolution of the old prosperity matrix and the consistency with which you reinforce and inhabit the new one. This is your practice. Every morning, in that extraordinary window of neuroplasticity between sleep and full waking, before the phone, before the news, before the day's financial concerns rush in with familiar weight, you return to the 5 stones. You breathe the new prosperity matrix alive. You feel the real memory, the future memory, the prosperity identity, the integrated counterforce, the sensory anchor. You let the new coax system be the first signal the waking nervous system receives, the first frequency it tunes to, the first reality it begins to build the day from. And every evening in the hypnagogic state before sleep, the mirror image of the morning, equally plastic, equally receptive to the frequencies you consciously bring, you revisit the old matrix, you inhabit the feeling of already living in your genuine prosperity. You fall asleep in the felt sense of the wish fulfilled, giving the deep mind its instructions for the night's reconsolidation work. Sleep becomes your manufacturing facility. Morning becomes your daily renewal. Every waking moment of choice is the practice of maintaining the new frequency when the old one reaches up for recognition. Neuroscience research on memory reconsolidation, the process by which existing emotionally charged memories and the structures built around them are updated and overwritten, shows that this process can unfold in a matter of weeks when it is aligned consistently and with sufficient emotional intensity. The prosperity matrix that has governed your financial reality for decades is entirely capable of fundamental restructuring in 30 to 60 days of genuine, consistent daily engagement with the new coax system. This is the discipline of the conscious creator. This is the daily practice of the person who has decided to stop living from the inherited financial template and start living from a chosen one. It is simple, available in every single moment, and its results for those who bring genuine consistency to it are as reliable as the original mechanism that built the scarcity matrix in the first place. Let us take a moment to fully appreciate the magnitude of what we are doing here, because this deserves to be felt deeply, understood completely, not as a technique or practice, but as a fundamental reorientation to the nature of reality and your relationship with it. Groff's work exists at the precise intersection where rigorous clinical research meets the deepest mystical experience. He was a psychiatrist, trained in the hardest traditions of scientific medicine, who had the intellectual courage and experiential openness to follow the data wherever it led, even when it led into territory that his professional training had insisted was impossible. What he found, documented across decades and thousands of case studies, was the consciousness is primary. Consciousness is the ground of reality, the source rather than the product. The brain does not generate consciousness the way a television generates programs it displays. The brain is a receiver and transducer of consciousness, not its creator, and the consciousness, freed from its ordinary identification with individual body-mind, has access to the entire field of existence, to all times, all places, all possibilities simultaneously. This is what the sages of every tradition has always said. This is what the mystics have pointed toward in every language in every area. This is how, documented with meticulous clinical precision by one of the most rigorous consciousness researchers who ever lived. What it means for your prosperity is this: your financial life is a projection of your dominant consciousness. It is always and only that. The coax system is the mechanism through which the infinite field of all possible financial realities collapses into the specific, apparently fixed financial reality you experience as your daily life. Change the coax system, dissolve the scarcity matrix, and replace it with a genuine prosperity matrix, and you change the specific way infinite possibility crystallizes into actual lived experience. This is manifestation at the level of source code. This is prosperity creation at the level of mechanism itself. This is what every surface technique has been attempting to reach, and why those techniques succeeded when they accidentally touch the coax system, and why they fail when they only skim the surface of conscious thought while the deep matrix runs underneath. You are working at that right level right now. You've always been capable of this. The only thing that was needed was to see the matrix clearly enough to consciously rebuild. This is a direct transmission. Let every sentence enter through the body before the mind is fully processed. Let the meaning settle into the deeper layers of your consciousness, below the analytical, below the skeptical, below the part of you that has spent years believing the scarcity story because the evidence seemed overwhelming and the matrix was invisible. You are an infinite being who has been experiencing financial reality through a finite set of templates, who build those templates brilliantly with extraordinary intelligence in response to real environments, real pressures, real experiences that require real adaptation. The scarcity matrix was the solution of a remarkable nervous system doing precisely what it was designed to do. Protect the organism, predict threat, maintain the predictability of a known reality even when that known reality is painful. Every financial struggle you've ever experienced was the faithful, precise expression of that matrix. And none of it was ever the truth of what you are. You are consciousness. You are the field in which the matrix was built. You are larger than any template, any coax system, any condensed emotional structure that has ever operated inside your nervous system. You are never limited by the matrix. You are temporarily identified with it. And the identification is releasing right now. The scarcity coax system you've carried is completing its arc in the light of your conscious attention. The emotional charge that held the old matrix together, the compressed energy of a lifetime of financial contraction, is releasing, returning to the undifferentiated energy from which all things arise and into which all things transform. It is becoming available for your conscious direction, for the building of the new matrix, for the daily reinforcement of the prosperity frequency you have chosen. The lens is changing, and the lens changes, reality changes. The financial opportunities that have always existed in your field are becoming visible. The people who carry abundance naturally are moving into your sphere. Your own relationship with your value, your worth, your price, your ability to receive, all of it is reorganizing around the new coax system, around the prosperity matrix that you have consciously and deliberately built today. This is physics as much as mysticism. This is the way consciousness works, documented by the most courageous researcher of the 20th century and confirmed by the deepest wisdom traditions of every culture on Earth. The new prosperity matrix is alive in you now. Feel the 5 stones of its foundation, the real memory of abundance, the future memory of prosperity, the embodied identity of someone for whom financial ease is simply the nature of things, the completion and integration of the counterforce, the sensory anchor in your body that gives the new matrix its physical home. Feel them all simultaneously. Let them fuse together, the way Graf described the original condensation of experience with full intensity, holistically, as a single living structure with its own gravitational risk. The new prosperity coax system is now the dominant frequency in your financial consciousness. It is more real than the old one because it's chosen rather than inherited. It's more powerful than the old one because it's conscious rather than automatic. It is more durable than the old one because you understand its mechanism and know exactly how to tend it, reinforce it, and deepen it every single day. The universe, which is, as Graf's research confirms and as much as every mystical tradition has always insisted, conscious all the way through, organizes itself around your dominant emotional template. It always has and always will. And it is now beginning in this very moment, from this very shift, to organize itself around the prosperity matrix. Synchronicities are coming, financial opportunities becoming visible, the people, the resources and ideas, the unexpected windfalls that are consistent with your new frequency are already in motion. You've shifted the hidden matrix of your prosperity, and the financial reality that emerges from this new coax system, abundant, flowing, sustainable, generous, and unmistakably yours, is already real in the field of infinite possibility, already present in the implicate order, already true in the quantum field, already the lived daily experience of the version of you that exists beyond the scarcity matrix's lens. You are meeting that version of yourself now, becoming that version of yourself now. The matrix has shifted. Prosperity frequency is the new dominant signal. Welcome to the financial reality you have always been capable of creating. You can find all episodes and information about upcoming events, such as the one we're holding in Maui on May 14th through the 17th, the one we're holding in Anaheim on July 24th through the 27th, as well as Sedona on November 20th through the 22nd. You can find that at www.therealityrevolution.com. And welcome to the Reality Revolution.